Hello. I just want to say hello to the 5-ish fangirls. No, that's wrong. I want to say hello to the 5-ish fangirls. Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yes, that's
Yes,
correct.
that's
Anyway,
correct.
hello. 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 That's 5 hellos to the 5-ish fangirls. Bye.
5-ish fangirls, I love you, and I'm one of the 5-ish. In fact, I'm the biggest one of the 5-ish. I am the 6th Doctor Colin Baker, and I wish you all well. Have fun.
The tangents this week continue all the way to episode 85 of the 5-ish Fangirls podcast. All right, who's ready for Operation Firebird? Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the 5-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we do every week by going on the virtual table and see who has joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Belvedere.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City. This is Holly from Wisconsin.
This is Mitch in Kitchener, Ontario.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello everyone, we're all here!
Yay!
That hasn't happened in a while.
Seems like
It has indeed.
And we have got a lot to talk about, so thankfully there's not a lot of news. Which is, I guess, is a good thing in this.
It's like stuff's coming back, so they don't need to talk about news stuff. There's like, here, have your show, enjoy.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. So, unfortunately, we need to start with some 10 o'clock news. As most everyone probably saw. And contrary to some people's misreading of headlines, George R.R. Martin, the author of the Game of Thrones series, is not dead. As
I
he
hadn't thought about that.
also...
I was worried about that when I first saw this headline. It was like, and then I read...
He was quickly to point out...
I read, like, oh, not that, George Martin.
Yes.
Well,
There's
I just gotta say,
some
I don't
letters missing.
think George R.R. Martin's gonna finish the Game of Thrones book series. I think he's just gonna let HBO finish it. Anyway, continue, Rachel.
Anyway, so not
may be
the author of
controversial.
the Game of Thrones, but the legendary music producer, most famously responsible for the Beatles, George Martin, without the R's, passed away at the age of 90. Like I said, most people will know him from his history with the Beatles. He was the one that signed them to their first record deal, even though he didn't actually like their music, famously, but he liked their vibe, and he liked their personalities, and decided to give them a shot. Thank goodness. So, but he went on to produce most of their albums, and actually played on a few of the tracks as well. But then he's also produced music for Kenny Rogers, Cheap Trick, Celine Dion, Elton John. I was when the news broke, and I was listening to NPR on the way to work, and they were talking about his history, and of course, most of it's talking about his history with the Beatles. But it's funny because he actually started out doing like musical comedy records, and one of the clips that they played on NPR was from a musical comedy album. But I'm sorry, I can't. Just listening, I'm gonna have to find out whatever the track was that NPR was playing. But apparently, God love him, we know him best as Wilf from Doctor Who, but apparently Bernard Cribbins at one point had a musical comedy career back in like the 50s.
Nice.
And I heard it, and it's like this, like Smothers Brothers type, like piano real kitchen. It's hilarious. I'm like, that's Wilf from Doctor Who. Like, that's not good. So apparently that's what he was up to way back in the day before becoming Donna's grandfather, I guess.
And the thing is, I can kind of see him doing that too.
Yeah. So, Beatles. Like when you work in the music industry, you work on all sorts of genres, I guess. But I heard that. busting up. And then thinking about it now, I'm gonna have to find out what it was. And post the link. I'm sure I can find the track on YouTube or something. And it was funny. It sounded like something my grandfather would have listened to back in the day.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, sorry. I'm delusional because I'm very tired, and we'll get to that in a second. So everything's like 10 times as funny. And has been since like Friday afternoon.
That's probably a good thing considering what our subject matter is.
Well, yes, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
But
When we
anyway,
get to our topic.
yeah. But anyway, George Martin, may he rest in peace, and his legacy will obviously live on in the music that he helped produce.
Well, of course.
Yep. So there's that, the 10 o'clock news, and then. The other piece of news that about broke the internet, not quite Star Wars breaking the internet, but it kind of broke the internet, is we got
it at least had people going, Batman, Superman, who?
Yeah,
what?
really. The last like 5 seconds of it broke the internet. So,
that is true.
Yeah,
that is true.
and made me had to put my foot in my mouth from conversation I literally had the day before. But the new Civil War trailer, I knew the trailer was coming out on Thursday because Marvel had been teasing it, and I went to the chiropractor. My husband and I went to our chiropractor on Wednesday, and our chiropractor's a big nerd, so we're constantly talking movies and TV and stuff like that. And I was, we were talking about, he always asking, have you seen any good movies lately? I told him I saw Deadpool, and I'm like, you excited about Civil War? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to get a trailer tomorrow. And he's like, what do you think Spider-Man's going to be like? And, I was like, I don't think we're going to see Spider-Man in this trailer. It's probably going to be like a Luke Skywalker thing, and they're going to keep him hidden in the movie. And then this trailer drops, and right at the very end, hey guys, it's Spider-Man.
And see, I totally forgot. This is terrible. I'm gonna admit, I totally forgot Spider-Man was supposed to be in this movie. And then Tony Stark yells, Underoos! And I'm like, oh, of course. And I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've seen Tony Stark so much. I understand his personality by now. Of course, that would be his nickname for Spider-Man. Of course, it would.
Which I had to explain what Underoos were to Chauncey. He did not know what that meant. And like they were kids.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of kids who are like, what?
Yeah,
although they're probably going to start marketing them again.
Probably. I think they did for a little bit, for a second, and then stopped. But yeah, they're like somebody's going to be like, there's a market there. I posted a link to a news article about the history of Underoos. I'm like, there were kids themed underwear and pajamas. Mm-hmm. Trying to make wearing clean underwear more exciting.
Yeah. So like,
that sort of thing.
So I Googled Underoos just, right now just to be silly. And like, there's an ad for it, there's Wikipedia, there's images. And then after that is, why does Iron Man call Spider-Man Underoos in the new, and it's a Reddit thread that's linked to it. And they're asking like, what does that mean?
Because it looks like he's wearing pajamas.
The fourth link that Google gives me back.
Yeah. Because Spider-Man in this iteration is not the ultra like Under Armour reflective, space age Spider-Man suit. He looks like he came out of the cartoon, so he looks like he's wearing pajamas. Therefore, Underoos. That, and it just gives him an opportunity for Tony Stark to go Underoos, which had me cracking up by saying it ever since too. I'm like Underoos. Yeah.
Well, when I posted the trailer to my Facebook page, I was like, Team Underoos. Because, they're saying Team Cap, Team Iron Man.
Team Underoos.
Yeah, I had some Underoos when I was growing up. I had the Princess Leia and I believe the Wonder Woman one.
See?
Nice.
There you go.
See, there you go.
I don't think I ever owned them. I may have, I just don't remember.
I never had them, but... Now I'm looking at them, they're like, they have them for adults now, which is kind of odd. But, okay.
There is nothing wrong with a Spider-Man onesie for adults. Footed pajamas.
Oh.
I owned footy pajamas
Christmas
as a kid.
Story just flashed through my mind.
Not a pink bunny. I had footed pajamas as a kid. It made it really fun to slide down the stairs because you could slide and you wouldn't have to worry about your pant legs riding up.
The only downside was the grippies on the bottom. You couldn't be stealthy.
That's true.
No,
Especially if
that's
you're going
true.
across the low-lying floor.
Yeah. Although after a while, mine started to like flake off and breaks, and that was when it was time to get new ones. And then there came a day when it was like, nope, you're too old for footy pajamas, and I was like, okay.
And now you're not because they make them on our size.
Yes.
That is
And
true.
they're very popular too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Especially
They're like
going-
Snuggies.
Yeah. It's a full body Snuggie is what it is.
Yep. My sister-in-law has a pair of them, and I was like, my first time, I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
We were at Christmas, or we were home for Christmas, and anyway. Enough about footy pajamas.
I love that it's like, hey, new Civil War trailer. Hey, Underoos.
Which, hey, Tony Stark started it. It's his fault.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And I actually
Okay.
watched this trailer this time. It's
Yay!
like last time it took me forever.
I've watched it several times, actually.
Nice.
Because it's like they hit you with like the, you know, Cap and Stark and, you know, like helicopters shooting at Black Panther and Black Panther just the bullets just bouncing off of him because apparently he's a bad dude like that, and
Yeah.
you know, Bucky
Ant-Man
being all
flying
emo
up
and all that, and then you
Hawkeye's
get
arrow.
it's like, you know.
Oh, and Scarlet Witch, did you see like she's fighting Vision? And
Oh
I'm like,
yeah, she looks like she's torturing him. It's like, oh.
Well, it's like, you know, Vision is this super awesome, tough, bad
Mhm.
powerful thing, and Scarlet Witch is totally beating him, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'm like, and weren't they like supposed to be an item, or weren't they like in the comics?
I have no idea.
I don't remember. I feel
I don't
like
know.
that's true, but I haven't had time to look it up. But
Like
I know,
they pulled just enough from the comics and then are like, yeah, we're gonna do this instead.
I thought there was a little nod of that in Age of Ultron, but I might have missed it. Anyway.
Yeah.
But it's just because, you know, we've got Cap and Iron Man on opposite sides, Black Widow and Hawkeye on opposite sides. So it's like, yeah, it would make sense they would pull apart because, you know, Civil War. How else are you gonna punch you in the feels?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
you know.
excited for this movie, but I'm also like, I don't know.
I
This is
have a feeling I'm
hard.
gonna need to take
This-
like a packet of tissue with me for this movie.
This
has,
is
like,
going
one-
to end
like-
in tears. It's going to be awesome, and then we're all gonna cry.
Yeah. They've been Marvel's been teasing that like the last half hour is just gonna be like this mega like drag out soap opera feels.
Well, they
filled.
said it's supposed to be 2.5 hours, right? It's like way.
Yeah, it's the longest
long movie.
Marvel movie to date so far.
Watch
so.
your fluid intake.
Yeah, that
people.
too. I'll be crying, so it'll even out, probably.
Yeah, I guess so.
I might have to call a taxi.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not coherent enough to drive.
Yeah.
So.
Oh,
Meanwhile,
Anyway.
Batman versus Superman, who?
yeah.
Right?
It's like Andre
what's funny is
with Black Nerd Comedy, and he posted his review, and he's like, "Really? You dropped this 2 weeks before DC's big movie first movie of the year comes out?" I'm like, "Yes, they did, Andre."
Yeah, they did. Oh, watching him like freak out about Spider-Man.
Andre loses
was
his
like-
crap over
Marvel
this.
thing has been going on for so long. It makes sense that Marvel would try and like overshadow anything DC does.
Yeah, and I'm
Well,
all
I
over
don't-
here
I
like,
don't
woo.
think I don't think they have to actively, you know, go after DC. I think they just have to show up, and it just happens.
Yeah,
I know, but
Yeah.
they kind of just want to cement their victory. Like, hey, we got
True.
We
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
you got a little movie coming up. Civil War. Come on.
drop the mic, walk away.
Yep. Although I did. Yep. Although I did see a meme somewhere where it's like 2016, the year the superheroes couldn't get along and the villains could, and it's
Yeah.
a picture of
Yep, I saw
Suicide
that.
Squad.
Suicide Squad. Yeah.
Although, this is a theory that I've been thinking of for a while, because the tagline for Civil War is "Divided we fall," which means this is going to end very badly for everyone.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, yeah.
Half of Team Iron Man is going to end badly for everyone.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it is.
And that will lead ultimately into Infinity War in a couple of years.
Well, yeah.
Every,
Between then, we've got Thor Ragnarok, because Thor doesn't show up in this movie at all.
No.
So he's like, in Asgard doing whatever, going la la la. Thor,
Well,
Asgard
I'm
thing.
guessing
So,
that.
not exactly la la la.
Well, no.
Well, no, I know. But,
I'm
but
thinking.
he's oblivious to the
seeing
Civil
the
War
war
thing going on.
basically.
Yeah. I'm thinking that Ragnarok could be, because the Hulk is supposed to be in Thor Ragnarok. So I'm thinking that Thor Ragnarok is going to take place at the same time as Civil War, and that'll explain why Thor and Hulk are not there, because they're being tied up in whatever's going to happen in that one. So it's going to be like Fury's Big Week all over again, where don't try to think of them as separate events. They're probably happening parallel.
True.
So that would be my guess. That would make sense because Marvel's done that before.
Lead into Infinity War in 2018, 2019.
Yeah. So, everything's got to fall apart, and then something
It's got to fall apart before they can come back together.
exactly and save the universe. And
Either
it's going
way,
to be
we
glorious.
the fans win.
Yes.
We'll be worn out, and Kleenex's stock will have risen,
Yes.
but
Probably.
we will have won anyway.
Yep.
Speaking of winning,
Yeah.
I
Maybe.
think
Maybe.
maybe.
Depends on your opinion in the situation.
Well,
I
Peter
think it's a win.
Capaldi's getting our. Yes, I agree. I think it's winning, but Peter Capaldi's getting our hopes up. So I'm a bit wary of this news, such as it is. It's apparently some of the big cheeses at the BBC have asked Peter Capaldi to stay on after Stephen Moffat leaves, so that his first Chris Chibnall's first season as showrunner will be with an established doctor. And Peter, his response was, this is what he said. He said, "I've been asked to stay on, but it's been such a long time before I have to make that decision. Steven's been absolutely wonderful, so I love working with him. Chris is fantastic. I think he's a hugely talented guy. I don't know where the show's going to go then. I don't know. I have to make up my mind, and I haven't yet." So the big brass at the Beeb, they want Capaldi to stay on. He hasn't made his decision yet, which is fine because there's still quite some time before he has to say for sure. But at least, I guess, the executives want it, so it's all up to if the actor wants to say yes or no, and he could say no, but there you go. Take that for what it's worth. I'm kind of
regarding this as non-news.
Negotiations are happening.
He makes a decision. It's not really news.
Yeah.
But in a slow news cycle, everything.
And that's gonna be like, oh, he's staying or he's going, and then if he's going, who's gonna replace him? If he's staying, we don't have to worry about that yet. But
yeah,
either way, he hasn't made a decision, so it's not really news, is it?
I totally agree.
It's an ad.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
Well, it's a slow news cycle, and people are looking for things to talk about. So here's something to talk about.
Yes,
which doesn't,
especially when it comes to Doctor Who news.
If I talk about whether or not Peter Capaldi is going to decide to stay, fine. I'm just gonna put it out to the back of my mind until he makes a decision.
You know what I'm doing with all my Doctor Who stuff? A week from Thursday and Friday, I've got Comic-Con Fan X, and I'm meeting Peter Davison in my Fifth Doctor costume. My husband is planning on dressing up as the Master. That's what my Doctor Who mind is at right now. So there.
The conventions are more pressing than whether or not Peter Capaldi is going to stay on as the Doctor.
That is true. And I think with this whole, we having a year off, minus Christmas, but basically a year off from Doctor Who, I'm kind of like, I'm dealing with other things right now. But yes, it is.
Yeah. Well,
It
what
is.
I'm dealing with right now is getting through Star Trek.
Yes, because it is Star Trek's 50th anniversary year.
I'm about halfway through season 5 of Voyager and season 7 of DS9. And then once I get done DS9, it's a straight shot to the end of Voyager.
Nice.
Because right now I'm switching back and forth based on air dates.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a little annoying, so I'm kind of looking forward to not having to do that and just straight through on Voyager.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's the news. Yay, people.
It was a
I
slow
think we
week.
talked more about a 2-minute trailer.
Underoos!
No, we talked more about underwear and pajamas.
Okay, yes. To be fair. To be fair, yes, that is true.
We're grasping at straws here at the moment, so.
Like we said, it's a slow news week.
Yep. But with that, we'll move on to
Which,
why.
speaking of conventions...
Yeah, so let's move on to why I'm so tired. Besides the time change, which actually wasn't that big of a deal because I was out cold and was asleep way before that happened. So.
Like midnight last night because of a friend's stag and dough.
Yeah. So I went, if you followed me on the social medias, you probably saw that I went to the Lexington Toy and Comic Convention this yesterday and today, as we're recording Saturday and Sunday. And so my first time ever attending this convention. It's a new-ish convention. I think it's like 5 or 6 years old. So it's slightly older than PopCon, but not by a whole lot. And I have one friend that is apparently, he'd said he couldn't go this year, but he attended this convention in the past and said he really enjoyed it. So I'm like, okay, well that's a good, thumbs up there. Then I'm probably going to enjoy myself. And I'll just say up front, for the most part, I had a great time. There are a few things that I did not enjoy. Some of those things are out of the convention's hands and things that they have no control over. A lot of it just had to do with crowd control. And if you go onto their Facebook page, you will see that there is a lot of angry comments on their Facebook page about the way that they handled badge pickup. The event was actually Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday night was for VIPs only, but anyone who pre-purchased their tickets could have gone and picked theirs up Friday night, even with the VIPs there. It's just by the time we got there, got checked into our hotel, got dinner, it was like, we're not going to go over to the convention center just to go get our wristbands. Like, we'll just go first thing in the morning. So we get there. The floor opened at 9 for VIPs opened to everyone at 10. We got there like at 10, and they were proceeded to wait for almost an hour just to get our badges, or in this case, wristbands, because they had everyone going to like those plastic ticket booths that you see at conventions sometimes, where it's like they could put the little plastic insert, and it's like cash only, or, pre-purchase and that sort of thing, instead of having, like people at the doors with handheld scanners scanning people's receipts right there and giving them their badge and being ready to go. Eventually they were putting people out in the crowd and rerouting some of the line, so we actually did end up meeting up with someone who had a handheld scanner, but that was after waiting for almost an hour to get to that point. At one point, the cash only, if you waited to buy day of, it was cash only. And when we got there, that line was actually shorter. Now, it got longer by the time we left, and throughout the day, that line got longer. And every time we went, and that floor was just full of people. It was up on the third floor of this convention. So that's one of the things that annoyed me with this convention as far as layout, but it's the layout of the convention center, so they're dealing with an existing structure, so there's not much they can do there. And the convention center is small, and they had to utilize 3 floors to spread everything out, and actually ended up going into some of the conference ballrooms of the hotel that's attached to it, which those are on the small side. So space was, and the convention center's laid out weird. There's some narrow hallways where they really should be wider, and some unused space where it's like you could put like restrooms here, or like an elevator or something. Like, this is just wall. Like, I'm not an architect, so I say things like that, and I have really no idea if that could actually work. But it just seems like the convention center itself's not laid out the best. But I think that the people running the convention could have picked the spaces and used them for different purposes than what they were using them for. They really needed to have like ropes, or those line thingies that are like the elastic to help with the lines for people waiting. They really should have had people like waiting at the door, and if you had your printout with the barcode on it, scan it, slap the wristband if you're someone who gets a wristband. If you get a badge, have the badges ready to go. The people in front of us got a badge for a special separate event, and the lady had to go get it. Like, you really should have had, your pockets full, or some on your arm or something, so you didn't have to walk away and then come back. That sort of thing. That would have made at least getting your admission a lot faster. The main con floor was very crowded. A lot of that is because it was a Saturday, and Saturdays are always the worst. I feel like the booths were there were maybe one too many rows of booths, and that could have maybe spread it out a little better. But again, people paying for booths is money to go to the con, so I'm sure they're going to cram it full as possible. There could have been better signage as well. They did the professional photo ops in a side room that really was way too small. And they put the photo pickup in the same room with like folding tables. So it's already crowded with people waiting in line to go get their photo op, and then you have people coming into the room trying to get to the tables to find their photos. It's like, at least move the photo pickup to someplace else. That's what they do at Chicago TARDIS. It's in a different room down the hall. It's just a small break room where people could have a small conference for 10 people or something like that. So it's a small conference room, but it's perfectly fine for a couple of folding tables. You lay out the prints, and people can come find their picture and go out their happy day. So that's something that really they should look into, is moving the photo op to a larger room that hopefully has better air conditioning, because it was very hot, and then moving the photo pickup somewhere else. But other than that, it wasn't that bad. I never got to any of the panels on Saturday because the 2 rooms they were using for panels, I never got into the one, so I don't know how large it was, but I don't think it was that large. The one I did get into for the 2 panels today was the same one that I went to last night for the cosplay contest. And it was on the small side too, and it was one of those ones where the walls move. So why they didn't make it bigger, I don't know. So they had to cut people off for the cosplay contest last night. I got into the cosplay contest with less than 20 seats left available, and then all the contestants were wrapped around the room waiting in a line. So it was very, very crowded, because they put up this catwalk, which in itself is cool. They put up lights, and they had a DJ, and then they had a raised up table for the judges, so the judges could see, and it was almost like a fashion show. But most of the contestants just kind of walked up smiled, posed, turned around, and walked back off. So there was more stage than I think what was necessary, except for the people that had really extravagant costumes. But there was a lot of people that I think were more shy. So they walk down the aisle and smile. That's it. But whatever. No, I'm hoping they'll send out like a post-con survey, and I can, type all this out and let them know, and hopefully not. I mean, the whole badge thing. I mean, Chauncey and I, we chatted, we watched people, we watched, we were able to see, because we were on the 3rd floor, you could see down the 2 other floors, watch people going up the escalators, pointing out cosplay. It's like, ooh, there's a War Doctor, and we started doing a Deadpool count and Kylo Ren count. I don't know what number we got to. It's like, oh, there's a Power Ranger, oh, there's Dick Tracy, so it was fun to people watch, and I had a book, and Chauncey was just kind of hanging out and keeping me company and keeping me calm. Because as soon as we got our wristbands, we weren't sure exactly where we were supposed to go, because I didn't bother to pick up a program right away that had a map. So we wandered to one section that was just vendors, and realized that we actually need to go 2 floors down to the 1st floor. So we went down to the 1st floor, down to the Maine convention area, excuse me, and there's like a lobby type area that they had a life-size Rancor from Star Wars. the local Lexington 501st was there with an Imperial like backdrop set up and lots of stormtroopers, and we saw Darth Vader, and there was a big old Wookiee with dreads. Chauncey took a selfie with. There were 2 TARDISes on display. There was the local Ghostbusters group there. There was also the facade for the front door for 221B Baker Street from the BBC Sherlock, that you could get photos with. And then you walked down this hallway, which again was a bit narrow, because it felt even more narrow because they put these signs right in the middle that say, "Stay to the right, no photography in the hallway." Okay. But the sign takes up like a quarter of the width of the hallway. Like, post
So
those
it kind
on...
of defeats the purpose.
kind of defeats the purpose. So, like, post that on the wall or something. I don't know. And then the photo op room was into one of the rooms off to the side. And then you came out the other end, and it was the big con floor with there was the Impala from Supernatural. There was the Batmobile with Batman. Batman was wearing a party hat and went through several party hats throughout the weekend. So that was a very festive Batman. And then mostly vendors in the middle.
Nice.
And then the celebrities went around the perimeter of the walls, and it kind of went from, if you went counterclockwise, it would be like your comic book artists. And then you started to get into the crap ton of Power Rangers that they invited to this convention. It was almost a Power Ranger convention. And then along the back wall, you had the Doctor Who guests, the Star Trek guests, the wrestlers, and then it kind of wrapped back around, and you got some more Star Trek guests and some other actors and the musicians and like that. So if you stayed to the outside perimeter, you get a lot of celebrity watching. You can just kind of walk by and like, hey, that's that person. Hey, that's that person. Hey, that's that person. Which was kind of cool. But our main priority, as soon as we got there, was for me to go see Colin Baker in my completed 6th Doctor cosplay that I've been working on for months. That I completed last weekend. Nothing like finishing something a week before convention. So I had the full thing on, which I know you guys have seen the pictures, and anyone who's listening that follows me on social media, you've seen the progress pictures, and then the photo I posted of me with Colin from yesterday. But we got there, and Fortunately for me, but unfortunately for how I feel about Colin Baker, there was no one in his line. He was just sitting at his table with the table person, the table handler person. Sylvester had some people. Sylvester had a decent line because it was Peter, Colin, and Sylvester. So Colin was in the middle. Peter had a few people. Sylvester had a line. Sylvester I understand because he was in The Hobbit, therefore that makes him more mainstream. But Colin didn't have anyone, and I felt bad for him. Chauncey's like, maybe he just. Chauncey was like, well, maybe he just came back from the restroom or something, and nobody realized he was back. I'm like, yeah, let's go with that theory. But fortunately for me, it also meant I could stand there and squee and, have a complete meltdown if the situation necessitated, which thankfully it didn't. And I could talk to him and not feel like I was holding up the line. So it was kind of a positive, negative type situation. But anyway.
It all worked out.
Yeah, it worked out. So I get up there, of course, I'm emotional, but not nearly as emotional as I was at Chicago TARDIS, thank goodness. But of course I get up there and I'm like, I'm not going to cry, I'm not going to cry, I'm not going to cry. I have video of the entire encounter. Chauncey taped the entire thing. So wait till you see that. So I get up there, I'm trying to, not completely like mess up my makeup and that sort of thing. And, he's like, oh, it's okay. Don't cry. And I told him, you said the same thing to me 3 years ago at Chicago TARDIS. I was there and I saw you and I lost it. And he's like, what did I do? And I'm like, we sat down and you put your head on my shoulder and that made it worse and better all at the same time. So I was excited. Rachel. I was excited. It was emotional, and he was trying to make me feel better. And Chauncey tried to steer the conversation away from me being so emotional. He's like, she's been working on this outfit for months, and like, yeah. And Colin really liked it, which is good. So he thought it looked quite impressive.
It is impressive.
Yeah. So. But I realize it needs some tweaking after wearing it for a full day. You don't realize, going upstairs, like walking upstairs, no matter how much I hiked that green skirt up, I was always stepping on the hem. I was like practically flashing people my underwear, how high I had to hike the skirt up so I wasn't stepping on it. So we're going to have to figure something out with that. And, but besides that, it was actually not that bad. I didn't really get too hot. I was quite comfortable. The corset was actually quite comfortable. I actually talked to a vendor that was there selling corsets, and she's like, yeah, I love wearing them at these things because it doesn't allow me to slouch, so you can't use poor posture. So it causes you to stand up properly, so it helps keep your back straight. So my back actually felt quite good by the end of the day. So there's a PSA for anyone who thinks that wearing a corset all day might be uncomfortable. Not like the Elizabeth Swann and like Pirates of the Caribbean, that would be a bad idea. But like what I was wearing and like what you see like the steampunk folks wearing, apparently they're actually quite comfortable. Mine has
that actually makes me feel better because for Comic-Con in September we were kind of trying to decide what we want to do costume wise and the steampunk kind of came up because Jared's he likes some of that stuff, and I'm like, I don't know, I have to wear a corset, wouldn't I? But yeah, and hearing this, I'm like, okay, maybe it wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah. No, it's actually they're actually quite comfortable. So mine's got the plastic boning, the ones you see at conventions that are sold for like $200-300. Those tend to have the steel boning, which makes a difference as well.
I remember trying on like a half corset type thing at Reverse Polarity a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think I still have a picture of myself in it.
I would recommend if you buy one that has fasteners so it goes on more like a vest, It doesn't necessarily have to be a vest, but one that just wraps around and you can fasten it, unlike mine.
Like
where,
in the front
yeah,
kind of a thing?
because that'll be,
Oh, okay.
because then you can get it off and on yourself. Mine doesn't, so I have to have somebody with me. I've put my arms up in the air, and they have to slide it down, and we have to shimmy it down. So,
Wow.
and then I have to have help shimmying it off at the end of the day. And then somebody has to tie it too and tighten it in the back. So yeah, if I
see, this is why they had ladies' maids back in the day.
Exactly. And that's why Jack Sparrow had to cut Elizabeth's off. Anyway.
Yeah. So Jared just walked out and gave me the thumbs up when I said that about the corset. That's why I was laughing earlier.
He's like, I approve. So, anyway. But yeah, so Colin, love the outfit. We ended up comparing shoes because it was like, it's like, yeah, I've got the yellow pinstriping and the check at the top, and I got the turquoise scarf. I got the cat pin on my hat, and that's I'm like, look, I'm wearing Crocs because I was wearing my Crocs, not Crocs like what he wears, but they're lady Crocs. They're like ballet flats.
Oh, okay.
But they're Crocs, so they're really comfortable. So I'm like, look, I'm wearing Crocs, and I was like, are you wearing Crocs? Because he always wears Crocs. I'm like, are you wearing Crocs? He's like, no, I'm wearing Crocs. And he thought I said I'm wearing spats, which I was. I was wearing both. And I'm like, no, I'm wearing Crocs. He's like, I thought you were wearing spats. I said, well, I'm wearing both, but I'm wearing Crocs as well. He's like, so am I. And then Sylvester was like eavesdropping or something. And Sylvester's like, I'm wearing Crocs too. So there's the three of us like comparing our shoes for a second. So
Nice.
I got to compare Crocs with, two doctors. So then we got the photo.
That doesn't happen every day.
Nope, it doesn't. So we got the photo at his table, which I wasn't planning on paying for. I don't only planned on the professional photo, but in the spur of the moment, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do a picture. Because I don't need an autograph. I already have an autograph. And I was like, I don't need to pay for two photos. But I was like, let's do the photo at the table, which I'm glad I did because the photo at his table, since he came around, we got the full body shot. Mm-hmm. So we have me full out Crocs, which Chauncey thinks I need to change my Facebook profile to just the close-up of our feet.
People do that.
Yeah. Then people will be like, why is your profile picture people's feet wearing Crocs? He thinks it'd be funny.
Because we did it that way.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and then we got, I got my autograph from Karen Gillen. Karen is adorable. I know when I was chatting with you guys, I was trying to come up with a good, metaphor or whatever, because I compared Jenna to an adorable chipmunk that I can put in my purse and feed Cheetos. If Karen was an animal, Karen would be like a meerkat. Adorable, yet a bit dorky. Because that's the way Karen is. She's they're both adorable, but Karen's got this goofiness about her that you could just like go out and go shopping and have like a girlfriend's day, and you'd be like giggling over boys and that kind of thing. Like Jenna, where you could like go and have a nice meal and talk about books or something. You could easily go out and have a pint at the pub or something with her. So she was awesome, and I got her autograph on my TARDIS poster. So I'm like, you can sign it wherever you want. But you are now with Jenna and Sophie Aldrin. She's like, oh, that's in that Scottish accent she has, which I'm not even going to try to attempt to do. She's like, oh, that's great. You need to get Billy and Freema and Catherine Tate. I'm like, I'll work on that.
You need to get all of them now.
Yeah, I like how she didn't even bother to mention Arthur. You're like, he was your husband on the show, but you're going to mention Billy and Catherine Tate, but not your on TV husband. Okay. If I ever meet Arthur Darvill, I'm going to tell him that. Then we got the professional photo of Karen, which is cool, and I gotta get a frame for that to hang up on what wall space we have left. I'm not even sure where these are gonna go. And then we had a professional photo with Colin later, which has the 2 photos. Chauncey had taken, we did Karen earlier in the day, and then we did, I was able to pick up the photo for that, and then we did Colin, and then Chauncey left right after the photo with Colin, and he took the poster and the photo with Karen back to the hotel, because he was done for the day, which is fine. So I went and picked up the photo with us and Colin towards the end of the con, and I know I'd posted it on, but I got back to the hotel room and I held it up and said, I bent it back so that Chauncey was you couldn't see Chauncey in the photo. I'm like, yeah, it's a photo of me and Colin cuddling. Oh yeah, and Chauncey's in it too.
Looking at the photo, he is very definitely a third wheel.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's so cozy, and he's just kind of off the
He's
side.
kind of like,
I'm here too. I was making an effort to include him, but no, it's basically the 2 of you.
It pretty much is. It's like, yeah, it's just me and Colin Baker having a cuddle. Oh yeah, and my husband's in this photo.
Still smiling.
Yeah.
And that's the best part.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be one thing if he was like, not even trying, but he is genuinely smiling, and it's cute.
Yeah, he knows. He totally gets it.
Yeah,
And
he gets
he
it.
supports it. But it was funny because they were doing they had all 3 doctors there, and they would do, you could either purchase to have a photo with each doctor individually, and then they were also doing all 3 doctors together. And I just opted to do the one with Colin. So they were doing, everyone who'd purchased Peter individually, and then everyone who did Sylvester individually, and then they were doing all the Collins individually, and then they were going to go back through the line and do everyone who had purchased the 3 doctors, 1 photo. So the ladies in front of us were wearing t-shirts that said, Christopher Eccleston will always be my doctor. And they were doing each doctor individually. So Peter had already seen it. Sylvester had already seen them in these shirts. So there was Colin's turn. And Colin got mock offended by the shirt. So they had their photo. They walked off. We walk into the frame, and he's mocking, complaining about the shirt, and I said, well, you'll always be my doctor. And he's like, oh, that's wonderful. And that's what they take the foot. He's like, the photographer said, step forward 1 step, please. And we're like, okay, step forward. And then Colin just gives me this big old squeeze. Like, you said I'm your favorite. I'm going to give you a big old squeeze in return for being so nice. And I was like, you're such a lovely man. I love you. And he just says, I am, aren't I? I love him. I really do. That made my day. And then today I was in civilian clothing, as I've started to call it. I was in my civvies. I was wearing my Power Rangers t-shirt. Yesterday was Doctor Who Day. Today was going to be Power Ranger Day, because I was a huge Power Ranger fan back in the day. So I felt like I was 10 years old again, really, with all these Power Rangers here. So, and I got more compliments on my shirt today than I did on my cosplay yesterday. I don't know what
cosplay that you spent months slaving over.
I don't know what to do.
Well, not slaving, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Working on very, very hard.
I got several people that I had a couple of people that asked for a picture. I had several people that would look at me and they're like, I think I know who you are, but tell me anyways. Because it's like, the color palette and the patterns, if you know, it's like, oh, that's the 6th Doctor, but it's in a combination that doesn't immediately strike you as a Doctor from Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And I think that's what was throwing people off, because as soon as I told them, they were like, oh, yes, that's it. No, and then some people are like, I have no idea who you are, but I really like the look. I'm like, okay. I'll take that as a compliment. Thanks.
Hey, that works too.
That works too.
They're admiring the handiwork.
Yeah, but at the same time, I got way more comments on my Power Ranger t-shirt I bought at Goodwill for $2. I don't know.
These things happen.
These things happen. Maybe it just wasn't the right audience. So but Colin Baker knows that's all that really mattered. So,
Oh, yes.
that's all that really mattered. But today I just went because I didn't have any more money to spend on like autographs or photos or anything. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to go by. If they're not busy, I'm going to go up, say hi, and, just thank them for coming and tell them, I'm a fan. Because, it's one thing. You've got these people that, they want to get an autograph. They want to get a photo to commemorate meeting this person. And then you have the people that want the autographs because they're going to turn around and sell them. Which I saw several people like that where it's like, yeah, you're obviously just wanting to collect autographs. You're going to put this on eBay or something. You're not actually a fan. You're just trying to make some money. And, that's fine because these stars pay to come to these conventions now as opposed to back in the day where they got paid to come to the conventions. So, they're not working, so they're going to make a paycheck. That's fine. But at the same time, it's like, I don't have any more money. I'm not going to spend money I don't have. So, but I was like, you know what? They come, I bet it's just, it's one of those things that I bet it would just be a nice little hitch in their giddy up just to hear someone say, hi, I'm a fan. I've liked you for, since you did this thing, movie or TV show. Keep up the good work. I'm glad you came. It was nice to meet you. And not have to worry about them thinking that you want something from them. And it actually worked out really well. And I had some really great experiences talking to people. Some of the people ended up having lines that they're too long and I ended up leaving the convention early so that we could get home. And I was getting hungry and I was tired and that sort of thing.
You get to that point in the day where it's time to go.
Yeah, you hit that wall, and it's like, I got a 3-hour car ride home. It would be different if it's my home convention. It's like, I got a 20-minute car ride home. But when you got a 3-hour car ride home, I'm like, yeah, let's just go. But I ended up talking to 3 Power Rangers. Ended up talking to David Yost, Billy, the Blue Ranger, who is
Isn't he wonderful?
He is. Billy's always been one of my favorites. So he was super cool to talk to. It was a bit weird because I walked up and I was like, I just want to say hi, and he's like, have we met before? And I'm like, no, I think I would remember if I met you before. Like, no, I just want to come up and say hi. He's like, oh yeah, that's great. I was like, Billy's always been one of my favorites. He's like, oh, thank you. He's like, you gonna come to our panel? I'm like, yeah, I'm planning on hoping I can get into the room. He's like, great, So I got to shake hands with him. I talked to Karen Ashley, who was Aisha, the Yellow Ranger. Who she was also in the movie, the first Power Rangers movie. She was super nice to talk to, super sweet. And then I talked to I'm sure I'm gonna butcher his last name, Steve Cardenas, who was Rocky, the Red Ranger in the Power Rangers movie. I actually talked to him a couple of times. But he was the last person I talked to before I left the convention. His handler complimented me on my shirt. He complimented me on my shirt. He's like, that shirt needs some autographs. I'm like, but then I wouldn't be able to wear it. He's like, well, you can get something that we can all sign. I'm like, I don't have any more money, but I will find something. And when I start seeing you guys at other conventions, I will start collecting autographs. And I actually told him, speaking of the next convention, at least the next one for me, I'll see you again. And I started to say Indie PopCon. He said it for me. He knew what convention I was talking about even before I said it.
Nice.
So it must be the next one for him, probably, is what it is.
Probably, yeah.
But he was like,
well, and it's in the area, isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
relative.
Yeah, it's not soon. It's in June, so he's got time to do other conventions between now and then. He's like, Indie PopCon. I'm like, yeah. He gave me a high five. He's like, sweet, I'll see you then. I was like, yeah, I'll be there as a member of the press, so maybe we'll get to chat. He's like, yeah, maybe. So I'm like, cool. So I got to meet the 3 of them, and then they were on the panel with Johnny Young Bosch, who is Adam, the Black Ranger. He always had a line, so I didn't get to talk to him because he does a lot of anime. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that know him from.
He does.
from
his like voice work. And,
yeah, he does a lot of
stuff,
voice
and
work. So
quite prolific in that. Way.
Yeah, he is. Their panel hilarious. It was them plus the gal who I can't think of her name, Catherine Sutherland, who was the one that replaced Kimberly when Amy Jo Johnson left. Which I stopped watching pretty much when she came in because I totally shipped Tommy and Kimberly, and then when Kimberly left, I was like, I'm done.
Yeah,
no more.
I think at that point I was like, I thought I was too old for it, which I probably was.
Yeah, that too, but that was like my first ship was Tommy and Kimberly, and then when that broke, I was like, yeah, I'm done. So, yeah. But their panel is funny. They are still good friends and just joke around with each other. And I got some video from their panel. And then I also I went to the turned around, got back in line for the same room for the Three Doctors panel, which my jaw still hurts from laughing and smiling so much during that panel. If you thought the Power Rangers panel was funny, if you think the Five-ish Doctors reboot, I mean, it's supposed to be like a mockumentary, like Office, Parks and Rec type mockumentary type thing. No, that's pretty much real life. Those three together are extremely dangerous. Especially with Sylvester.
Basically, all you have to do is put them in front of a camera and say, do something, and you'll have the Five-ish Doctors too.
Yes. Pretty much. I was kind of hoping that, they decide to go ahead and do the sequel and, like, be filming, because this would have been perfect for the sequel for the Five-ish Doctors. Colin and Peter together could be calm, but then putting Sylvester in the mix is like putting gasoline on a raging fire. Sylvester McCoy is the wild card, and when I mean wild, I mean wild. I know I told you guys this, and I have video of it too, but you're in for a very interesting and probably hilarious panel when the panel starts with Sylvester McCoy talking about his little Sylvester. He kept calling it as Willie, but I thought little Sylvester was maybe a bit less crass.
Now, did they keep Sylvester on the stage, or did he get down?
No, he stayed.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know if that's like just a thing he does when he's going solo.
I think it's when it's just him. So
okay.
He'll get off the stage. He did play the spoons though. It was towards the end. I think maybe Colin and Peter were hoping no one would bring it up, but as soon as it was one of the last questions. That they were passing the microphone around, and it got to the other side of the room, and there was a question for Colin specifically, and then another question for Colin specifically, and Colin's all like, "Ooh, I like this side of the room." And then Sylvester and Peter proceeded to get up and pretend like they were walking away. Because they're like, we're not needed here anymore. But then the person followed up asking Sylvester if he still played the spoons, and then Sylvester lit up like a kid on Christmas, got out his little case, broke out the spoons, and proceeded to play all over Colin's head and Peter's. But they were good sports about it. So just the entire I hope somebody I know there's several people taping it, like on their phones and stuff. If somebody, I will keep an eye out if somebody has the whole thing recorded, because you will just bust a gut. Colin thinks that Jennifer Lawrence would make a really good companion. Apparently he really likes Jennifer Lawrence, especially as Katniss Everdeen. And then he also thinks she would make a really good doctor as well. Because they always ask, who do you think would be a good companion? Who do you think would be the good next doctor? What do you think about the future of the series and that sort of thing? Peter thinks that there should be a TV spinoff starring Jenny.
Of course he would.
He's a bit partial.
I think he's a bit biased.
A little bit. Well, somebody also asked
Yeah.
him what he thought
Well,
of David
you know,
Tennant's run.
We wouldn't argue with that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't anyway.
No,
I don't know how
I'm
else
not
to.
saying that I would argue. I'm just saying
Yeah.
Peter Davison is a bit biased when
Little
it
bit.
comes to
Yes.
Jenny.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, he's very open about his bias too. Somebody asked him what he thought about David Tennant's run as a doctor. He's like, "Well, I'm a bit biased, but I quite liked it." Although David wasn't his son-in-law when David was on the show, but still. And then Colin followed that up with, "I have 4 daughters. I am very mad at Matt Smith."
I guess we know who their favorite doctor is.
Yeah. So that was fun. And then I went back to the floor and did a bit more walking, and I ended up stopping and saying hi to I don't want to get his last name, Kevin McNally. McNally? I hope I'm saying that right. Which you may not recognize the name, but Mr. Gibbs from the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise.
Ah, okay.
So he was there. I stopped and said hi to him. I asked him if Mr. Gibbs would be in the new Pirates movie. He confirmed he is. So
Nice.
yeah, so Mr. Gibbs will be making his return in the next Pirates movie. And then one of the last people I talked to, it wasn't last in order, but one of the last people I want to bring up that I got to talk to was I stopped and said hello to Greg Grunberg at his table, Matt Parkman. So I didn't get to make it to his panel, unfortunately, because it was the day before. I didn't make it to Karen's panel either because the room filled up way too quickly. And I was like, should I stop and say hi? I was like, I'm going to stop and say hi. So there's like one person in front of me, so no biggie. So I walk up. I'm like, hi, I just want to say hi. Yeah, I love, Matt Parkman and in Heroes and that sort of thing. I was like, I missed your panel, but, I've got this podcast, and they knew I was coming, and I half-jokingly said that I may ask you this question, the opportunity arises, and I hope you don't get offended, because I mean this in the best way possible, but what in the heck happened to Matt Parkman in Heroes Reborn? And he just laughs and says, I know, I had no control over that. Like, you ended up in the ditch. She's like, I know. He's like, I really thought Matt was going to get, like, this redemption. He was coming from a good place, trying to save his family. Like, you ended up in a ditch. He's like, I know. He's like, I'm not offended by that question at all. He's like, I was so excited to come back. And then this happened. Like, well, I hope if, Heroes comes back again that Matt gets his redemption. I'm like, I hope so, too.
Well, if nothing else, let's see him in Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I was like, but you did take me by surprise in The Force Awakens. It was like, we were sitting there watching the movie, and you pop up. I'm like, oh, it's a rogue Matt Parkman. You're in the wrong franchise. He's like, yeah, that was fun. I was like, any chance Snap Wexley's going to be in the upcoming movie? He's like, yeah, they won't let me say anything. So he can neither confirm nor deny that he will be in Episode 8, although it's probably safe to say he will be in Episode 8.
Yeah, he probably will be, but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but he was really cool to talk to, and then I'd held the door for Peter Davison at one point.
I know when you posted that in our little chat thing, I was just like, but I will get my chance.
Yes. And then I walked out of the convention center. It started out side by side, and eventually he got in front of me, but it was Henry Winkler, the Fonz.
Cool.
So, and then today I was walking the floor, and once again there was nobody at Colin's table, and nobody in line. And of course I felt bad, and of course I'm always going to take an opportunity to go talk to him as well. So I go back up. I was like, there's nobody in line for you. I feel bad. I feel like I need to come up and say hi. And he's like, oh, well, it's always nice for someone to stop by and say hi. And then James Marsters from Buffy was a couple of tables over. He looks over, he says, "Mr. James Marsters doesn't need any help getting anyone in line for him." Like, no, he doesn't. I said, "Mick Foley's signing socks down there at the end." He's like, "Really?" Apparently it's a wrestling thing. Chauncey explained it to me on the car ride home. Apparently Mick Foley did this thing with shoving socks in people's mouths when he was a wrestler. So,
Ew.
so he was signing socks. And Colin Baker was like, "I hope they're clean socks." I'm like, "Oh, they look like they're clean." He's like, "That's good. Used wrestlers' socks would not be appealing." I'm like, "Yeah, you're probably right." Yeah.
Again, ew.
Then he looked at the gal who was handling, the money at his table and all that. And then he also looked at me and he's like, "Do either of you happen to have any nail scissors? I seem to have split a nail." And she just kind of looked at him like, "What?" And I'm like, "I do." So I got to lend Colin Baker my fingernail clippers. And then he offered me the fingernail clippings. I said, "Yeah, no, I don't think so. That's a bit extreme, even for me." But I know I'm a big fan.
You don't want to frame them with your autographed picture?
No. I was like, that's a bit extreme, even for me, as big a fan as I am. He's like, "Yeah, that's a certain kind of fan, isn't it?" I'm like, "Yeah."
It's like Sheldon in The Big Bang Theory when Penny gets him the napkin that Leonard Nimoy used, and he's like, "I could clone my very own Leonard Nimoy."
Yeah.
Because his DNA is on the napkin.
Yeah. So, as far as convention experiences go, loaning your favorite actor your fingernail clippers, not something I think that happens to everyone. So,
No.
I could check a box I didn't know existed. Yeah, he handed me back my clippers, and I put them in my bag, and he pretended like he was dropping the clippings in there. He's like, "Here you go." I'm like, "Thanks." So, and then I use those fingernail clippers later, so I'm like, "Ooh." Like, we share a little bit here. So there's some Colin Baker DNA on those fingernail clippers. Not the actual fingernail clippings, which is a good thing. That's a bit gross. But that was
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but that was weird. So in the span of 2 days, I compared shoes with 2 doctors, shook hands with and high-fived several Power Rangers, almost got offered the fingernail clippings from my favorite doctor, held the door for another doctor, and walked behind the Fonz. So, as far as
all a very successful.
It's a very successful.
And talk to Matt Parkman.
And I got to talk to Matt Parkman. So, and Mr. Gibbs from Pirates. So, so that was my weekend. So,
how did the rest of us do? Vacuum the house.
Hey, right.
Went to my friend's stag and do.
So, but overall,
You good at beer pong at my friend's stag and do.
Well, that's good.
I got 5 points.
Woohoo!
Nice.
So, other than those few hiccups, which again, some of them not in the convention's control because it's architecture, but if they can get those few things straightened out, I think that they'll find that they'll have a lot more happy customer. I mean, I enjoyed it enough. I would go back if they have someone there that I'm like, it's worth driving 3 hours for. I mean, in this case, I was like, I don't know when Colin Baker's going to be that close to my radius again. So it's like, we're going. So, and the location's not bad. It's a 3-hour drive for me. It's there's some construction going on in Louisville, but hopefully when that's done, it's just a straight shot down and then hang a right. And next thing you know, you're in Lexington. We stayed there's several hotels that are right near the convention center, including one that's attached. I didn't necessarily want to be that close because you know how the late nights at conventions can get with people up and down the halls and people partying and screaming girls.
Ones that are attached to convention centers are usually more pricey than other
That
hotels.
too. Yeah. That too. So we ended up staying
I
at...
considered like the hotel that's attached to the Metro Toronto Convention Center. I'm like, no, that's way too much. That's way outside my budget.
Yeah.
Which
So
is
we ended up...
why
Yeah, we ended up at a
the hostel that I
Hilton.
stayed at last time for Fan Expo was way more my budget.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We were at a Hilton. It's a Hilton owned hotel, but it's a Hilton curio collection, so it looks like a southern plantation house.
Huh.
So like big like columns, white columns. It does not look like a hotel really, from the outside. It was real nice, and I mean it was affordable. I mean for what it was, and we were only a mile down the street from the convention center, so we just drove. It only took a few minutes, and there is a big parking garage is just across the street from the convention center, so we were able to park in the parking garage and just cross the street. The one day that, yesterday when Chauncey and I actually went together, and we're able to walk right in. And then today, Chauncey didn't go, but he just went and dropped me off, and I did my thing. And then when it was over, and I was like, "Hey, I'm ready to go," he just pulled up and picked me up, and off we go. So it was not inconvenient to be detached from the convention center at all. So, and it was a lot quieter. So, of course, they put us on the second floor all the way at the end of the hallway. So that may have helped. And we had a nice view of the dumpsters, but I didn't care about the view because it was just a place to sleep and shower.
Basically.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bed, is what it is. So, but it was nice. We had the beds. We had queen size beds. We had these big leather headboards, and a nice flat screen TV in the room. So, I mean, it was not a bad place to stay. So, if you don't mind being slightly removed, I would recommend the Hilton up the street. So it's the Campbell House. It's even named. So. And it's real easy to get to the convention center. It's on the same street, so just go down the street. You'll see the parking garage. It was $10 to park. Like, oh, let's go. So, I will. I think I'll go again. They'll have to have somebody there that I'm like, yes, it's so worth the drive and to get a hotel and all that. But if they had a guest list like what they had this year, I would do it again. So, but I would probably spring for the VIP. So I could go the night before and maybe knock out some photos and autographs the night before. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, that was my weekend.
Yay for the weekend.
Yay. Well, with that, let's move on to the feels.
The feels.
The feels. Feels for the weekend. So, Once Upon a Time, which apparently Colin Baker's daughters really love Once Upon a Time.
Nice.
So his daughters have good taste.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
So, and he actually thinks it's a very good show as well, but I think they like it slightly more than he does.
Yeah, I could see where that would be a thing.
Yeah. But Once Upon a Time is back, obviously.
Hooray!
So, and we're in hell.
Yep.
That's the only way to put it. Really.
Well, that's what they said at the end of the last story arc last fall. It's like, you're going to hell?
Mm-hmm.
The Underworld, get it right. But no. I really liked this episode. I didn't know really what to expect from it. This is the 100th episode, so they're making a big deal out of it, obviously. Although when I when I read the synopsis and the promo for it, I was like, oh, this is like, it was a Regina centric, and it had Cora back, and I don't really like Cora all that much. I was very glad, like she had her story,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was like, okay, and then they kept bringing her back, and I'm like, oh, can we just be done with her? Like I don't particularly like seeing Regina pre-curse. Mm-hmm. I'm just kind of, I feel like we've done that so much. I'm like, let's do something else. And Cora is part of that. And I'm like, I don't want to deal with Regina's mommy issues anymore. Can we not? And, then they say, oh, look, she's coming back. And this person, and Cora is the queen of hell and everything. And I'm like, does she have to be?
Actually, she's the mayor.
Or the mayor. Okay. Well, he's the leader. Okay. Yeah. So I wasn't very excited about this, but I was like, okay, well, let's see where this goes. So I watched it, and I was very pleasantly surprised because, they had the thing with Regina's dad, and usually, when we have Sir Henry, he's like just this poor, feckless little man who's caught between these two witches who are constantly in this power struggle, and, and Cora's like, Henry, you spoil her too much, and Regina's like, Daddy, Mommy's so mean, and he's like, I don't know what to do. And he just kind of, he tries to make the peace as much as he can, and he's kind of like, there. But then this episode actually gave him some closure, and I did not expect that to ever see that. I loved it. I was just like, oh, finally, Henry the Elder gets to do something other than stand around and be manipulated by his wife and daughter. And I'm like, oh, bless you this show. And so I liked that aspect of this episode, of this premiere episode.
Henry getting to see who he was named after too was just so cool.
Oh yeah, it's like,
and then Henry Senior kind of changed, like, oh my gosh, they named him after me. Just that look.
Yeah, like, and Henry's all like. It's like, oh, finally, I get to meet a grandpa that, well, I guess Prince Charming isn't too bad. But, I don't know, his the last grandpas he has was Rumple and Peter Pan, which I guess we just come from that scene with Rumple and Pan. And I was like, yeah, we guess we have to count Pan in that, don't we? Yeah. But like, look, you met one of your other grandpas, and he's not a psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a grandpa that when you have the charming Thanksgiving, it won't be that awkward.
Yeah, it would be nice to have him around, if he wasn't dead.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Minor detail. As far as details go, but he's at peace now. That's the nice thing, is that they've set up this whole thing that the people that are in the underworld are people with unfinished business, and then they can either go to the not so happy place or a better place, because we're not gonna get all religious on Once Upon a Time. So
this is more like the Greek mythology version of the Underworld.
Yeah.
So it's a little more, I don't know what to call it. But yeah.
I'm not read up on my Greek mythology. So. Oh. But in this case, we find out that Cora's got the power to, I guess, make someone suffer and send them to the not so happy place. But by Sir Henry, I guess, not so much standing up to Cora, but not letting Cora manipulate Regina. That was his unfinished business, and by doing that, it allowed him passage to the better place.
Yes.
Which gave him the closure.
Let's call it the Great Valley.
Yes.
Because that's what it looked like, that little bit we saw.
Yeah.
And I think this time, Regina actually listened to the advice that her father was trying to give her with how to deal with her mother.
Yes, and I think maybe that was part of his unfinished business that she finally, because, and this is kind of the feeling I get with parents. Like, I mean, I can't really say for sure, not being a parent myself, but it's kind of like, your kids' decisions, you know, are their decisions. They have their own free will, and they take responsibility for their choices, or they're supposed to. But some of that is a reflection on, you know, the parents, and sometimes, you know, the parents can feel like, oh, you know, my child is doing all these things, and where did I go wrong, and how, you know, how did this all happen, and you know, you gotta you know, deal with the situation. I'm not trying to like pass a blanket judgment on anybody or anything, but this kind of how I feel about this situation with Sir Henry, is that he kind of feels like he's a failure because, you know, he died because his daughter was trying to cast a curse to get her revenge on Snow White, and so I kind of feel like maybe that's like he felt like a failure as a parent of I didn't help my daughter become better, but now she is, and now she's here in the underworld, and she meets her father, and she gets to help him finish that business and finish, or to see her as, you know, she's changed, she's become better, she's had a redemption story, and this was actually part of her redemption story. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know I wanted to see that, and now I have, and now I do, and I like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I totally agree that, you know, I'm kind of over the flashbacks to evil Regina. Like every now and then we'll get, you know, with this last part of, you know, the first half of the season, you know, we'd get the occasional flashback, and I'm like, you know, it's kind of nice to be reminded just how far Regina has come, but how much more is there of the story of, you know, Regina pre-losing her love, you know, to losing her love, to casting the curse on Snow White, to Emma coming into the picture, you know, in the beginning of the very first season. It's like, how much more of that story do we need to see? And now it's like with these flashbacks in this episode, I'm like, yeah, I really don't want to see any more of Evil Regina. I mean, I love Evil Regina's wardrobe.
Oh yeah, and you can tell Lana Parrilla is having the time of her life playing Evil Regina.
Yeah.
But I'm like, we've seen her go past all this. I'm like her story, that part of her life is not over, but we've gone beyond it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times like at the end of 5A where, you know, we had Hook's backstory, and it played into Evil Regina, played into that, and that I was okay with, because that was, you know, telling someone else's story. Regina just happened to be part of it, and that was fine. It's just the focus on it. But, you know, I just this one worked out. This one worked out, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which I guess, you know, we also needed to fill the time with in it too, because we really, I mean, other than the little spell thing that Emma cast, there's no Hook in this episode, so
yeah, it is, and where all this and where all this promotion has been like, we're going to save Hook, and then he wasn't there, but then it turns out that the story arc is really going to be about, you know, helping all these people cross over to the Great Valley.
Mm-hmm.
As well, but with the promo for this next episode, and I know some of you have seen it, I haven't yet. You know, Hook is going to be there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the division we did get of Hook looks like he's in hell.
He's been through the meat grinder.
Yeah.
He's had a couple of rounds. He's gone a couple of rounds.
Yeah, with someone not pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
So. But, you know, of course, you know, they're looking for Hook, they're looking for Hook, they're looking for Hook. And then we get this glimpse of Hook, and of course Emma's like, oh, Hook's in trouble, he's beaten up, he's bloodied, oh, this is way more dangerous than I thought. Take Henry, leave! You guys can't stay here, I must do this on my own, like Emma likes to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for some reason, that part of her characterization that has stayed with her since episode 1, that doesn't bother me, like seeing that, because I know she's grown as a person, but there's still something, maybe it's like her genetics as being, you know, the daughter of 2 famous fairy tale heroes, is like she has to be all self-sacrificing self-sacrificing and like, you go leave, I'll take care of this. You go to safety, and I'll be in danger for however long.
Yeah.
Which was her reason for becoming the Dark One as well.
Which if she hadn't been so self-sacrificing, they wouldn't be in this mess in the first place.
Yeah. Well, if Rumpel
Ish,
hadn't been,
well,
I mean, but
everything
we can blame on Rumpel.
Yeah, well, let's discuss Rumpel here for a second.
He wants to get out of there as quick as he can.
He's doing the same thing he did in Neverland, and I just want to punch him in the nose. That's all.
I really hate to, judge a book by its cover, because this is the first episode of another, new-ish storyline, but really, I mean, it's a continuation of the last part of the season.
Yeah.
But it's like we are 5. What are we on? Season 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
5, yes.
So we're 5. So what? 4 whole seasons and half. 4.5 seasons into Once Upon a Time, and I think I said this with the last storyline, that as much as I love Robert and his portrayal of Gold and Rumpel,
and he does a great job.
He does it great. He loves. Yeah, I'm sure he's loving playing Rumpel just as much as Lana is loving playing Regina. But if we do not get some sort of character development, whether it's that sticks, I'm going to throw something at the TV.
It's like he gets there, and then that slippery slope, and then
it's like I know that you could equate it to kind of like a drug addict. Rumpel is addicted to the power of the Dark One. But he either needs to succumb. I mean, technically, he did succumb completely because his heart went completely black. But he either needs to go full on Dark One, or he needs to full on leave the Dark One behind.
Well, if he was going to do that, the chance to do that was the last story arc with Dark Swan, where the darkness was elsewhere.
Yes.
And it didn't. He said, oh, wait, I want to keep this little bitty piece, even though you're destroying all the darkness. I'm just going to keep this little bitty piece for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And Hook basically died. Well, not for nothing, but mostly for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Shaking my fist right now.
Mm-hmm.
Or no. You know the gif of Star-Lord, flipping off the machine, like, oh, I don't know how this happened.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Very much. Yeah. Pretty much. So, then it just seems like we're just doing this whole yo-yo Rumpel thing again. And it's like, I can't.
It's just his character, and
I can't do it much longer.
I think it would be okay just to know, he's the anti-hero trickster sort of thing. If they didn't keep dragging Belle into it, and like
that too.
Emma's like, I'm gonna tell Belle that you're not very nice anymore. I'm like, is Belle just an idiot?
I think she is.
She knows.
Yeah. Okay. I
think she knows, but then I think she's still blinded by the love and knowing that she came this close to breaking the Dark One's curse way back when Regina put the bug in her ear.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, the closure scene with Neil and Emma, that was good.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have rather have seen this, a scene with Neil and Rumpel. But that wouldn't have, just, I don't know if it would have hammered the point home a little bit more to Rumpel after how many times he swore on his son that he was going to be a changed man. A little bit of an unresolved.
Yeah. That'd be nice to like have
Neil
pop up like
to see this, going on a little bit. But I mean, he did ask how Henry was doing, so maybe down in the Underworld they can't see a heck of a whole lot. But that's just neat.
Yeah. That would be an interesting scene, though, to have like Neil pop up and be like, "Dad, I heard what you said.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah. We need to have
I
another talk.
wonder if I wonder if they're saving that for a later episode.
Maybe.
Hard to say.
Oh.
They might.
I shouldn't get my hopes up because I have
know.
all these wonderful ideas and then they don't happen and I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just something needs to give with Rumple at this point. After 4.5 seasons, I'm like, I just can't do it anymore. It's like a soap opera where it's like, really?
And I'm a big Rumple supporter, but I'm getting a little. My patience is wearing thin.
Yeah.
Record, a repeat. Can we switch tracks, please?
We'll sick of this album. We'll sick of this song. Oh. I did like his interaction with Peter Pan.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to. I've yet to go back and watch the Neverland storyline. So as far as I'm concerned, Peter Pan is Nathan from Heroes Report.
Yeah,
your accent is throwing me off, kid. You're not supposed to have that accent.
This version of Pan seemed a little more ominous.
Yeah.
You know, just because he was in Gold's setting of the pawn shop, and I'm just thinking, holy crap! Thank God Selena is in Oz, because I was just if those two would team up.
Oh dear.
Well,
we
have it. I don't think we've seen the last of Zelina based on
oh no, I don't think so.
The things I've seen on Instagram. So
you know, I do hope, like I said before, I'm not a big fan of Cora, and I hate they keep bringing her back, but I do hope that Cora and Zelina get to meet face to face at some point.
Yes, I would love to see that.
That I do want. I do want that.
That face down, and then maybe have Cora or have Regina stand and kind of watch.
Regina can be the referee, like at the boxing match, like and fight.
And Robin and Roland are selling tickets.
Yeah. They can rapidly age the baby and she can be the round sign holder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Emma sped up her birth, so I'm pretty sure that baby has some kind of aging super
could be
whateverness thing.
Well, we need to do that for baby Neil.
Yeah, that too. Although Jennifer Goodwin is having another baby, so I guess they
aren't writing that one in.
No.
Okay.
Have they said yet though if are they going to write in?
Rumor has it, I'm not 100% sure that they were possibly going to write in Emily DeRovin's pregnancy, and breaking news I had seen on Facebook, Emily DeRovin did have her baby girl yesterday.
Oh, yay!
And named Vera.
Yep. Aww. Yay. So many congratulations.
Yes.
Go out. That's awesome.
Yep. Yay.
So I wonder if they announced it must have been later in the pregnancy, because I was like, we just barely heard she was pregnant. Yeah. So maybe that's why Belle is, well, it's not like she's really been in the show very much anyway, but why she's kind of been lesser used.
Yeah, it could be. Well, does that mean Snow's going to start wearing like really oversized coats and carrying a lot of handbags?
Yeah, and hiding behind things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't complain about them kind of writing her off, or not writing her off, but like writing her out for a little while. Except I really do like Charming, and it's fun when he and Hook and Robin Hood do their Storybrooke bros thing, and it's kind of funny. So I'm like, oh, I'm torn.
Well, Snow could go off somewhere, and Charming could stay behind. So
that's true. I don't know.
I know as much as they're attached at the hip and can't seem to be apart from each other for more than you know, a trip to the bathroom.
Yeah. I will always find you. Well, except that actually turned out to be kind of cute at the end of the last story arc with Emma.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
I could see that in the charming household. Like, I will always find you. I'm just going to pee. I will always find you another roll of Charmin.
Good one.
Oh, they need to make that as a thing or something. I don't know.
Like, that's how attached Snow and Charming are.
That's awesome. Rachel, that was the best.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
What did you think of the scene between James and Snow?
Oh, gosh.
She's all like, you changed. And it's like, no.
I forgot how big of a slime ball he was.
Yeah. And I'm sure he's not going to come back and cause any trouble during this storyline at all.
Oh, not at all. Never.
I mean, if they're talking about, you know, trying to save as many people in the Underworld as possible and help all these people have unfinished business, Lord knows what his unfinished business is.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I kind of don't care.
Well, it's true.
I don't like him so very much.
It's like, you know,
who knows?
There's
maybe
a lot.
He'll run into Rumple.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe they'll all just take out Rumple for us. Hope springs eternal. I don't know.
I don't necessarily want Rumple to go away just because I love Robert so much.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. kind of in an awkward position.
Or they'll stage an intervention.
Yeah.
Well, we've all seen how that turns out.
Well, yeah.
Regina did give him a good pep talk when they were in Neverland.
Yeah.
Wait a minute here. The only one that's going to be taking you out is me.
Yep, that's true. So, do we want to discuss the flaming blue elephant in the room?
Sure.
Was I the only one who wasn't kind of getting a Malcolm Merlin feel?
No,
off of his portrayal of Hades.
Really feel off Hades.
Oh, yes.
I so John Barrowman playing this role.
Next episode, I got it again.
Yeah.
Totally.
I could have seen John Barrowman in this.
Oh, man.
That when I watched
if he was busy, I would say that's a missed opportunity, but he's busy.
Well, now that you mention that, though, I kind of want that now, just because again, I don't want to judge a book by its cover, considering how little we've seen of Hades. But so far, I'm not liking him. I'm not liking the manner. Yeah, let's say I haven't seen this week's episode yet, and you know, it's probably a combination of I'm not that familiar with the actor. For one,
that could be,
two, we didn't get a whole lot of Hades. He was at the very end of the episode. It was only a few minutes, the scene with him and Cora. So we haven't gotten a whole lot of Hades screen time. And three, I really, really, really wanted it to be James Woods.
Yeah. True. Although it kind of feels like they're going a different direction with him, they usually do. So James Woods might not have been a good choice. Maybe, I don't know. But it's like, yeah. I mean, I got that. I don't know, and I don't know that I like the suit so much. Like he's the suave, evil businessman type. I'm like, I kind of want to see the
robe.
I don't know, something else, a robe, or I mean, not necessarily the outfit from the animated movie, but something that's like, you know, really grand. And I mean, good grief, you've got Eduardo Castro as the costume designer, and we've seen all of his amazing greatness that he puts together. I mean, surely you could have had him do something like really amazing and ostentatious for Hades, or maybe that's just his I'm meeting with people outfit.
Could be. I'm doing business as Dark Lord of the Underworld.
Yeah,
business
later
suit.
I'll give you the whole flashy lights and show thing.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, that could have been like, the Hades that presents himself to the people, so he's like very business lawyer, don't mess with me type, and then once Cora leaves, he turns on the hair, which I kind of wish that if he turns on the hair, like his skin would turn blue, because it just looks weird with human flesh with the blue.
The CGA quite right on that one.
Yeah, it doesn't. And I'd seen the still image that I think Entertainment Weekly had shared, like a month ago. Like, here's our first image of Hades, and it's the blue flaming hair, and I'm like, maybe it'll be better in movement. And then you see it in the episode, I'm like, yeah, nope. So, and that may be part of the reason why I'm not liking Hades that much yet. So things can change. I don't want to judge too early, but we're not, in my book, we're not stepping off on the right foot with Hades for me. So we'll see after I watch tonight's episode if I still think that way. We'll see. But although I did like that he gave Cora her comeuppance.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
I wouldn't feel sorry for him the slightest.
Yeah. I will give him 2 flaming thumbs up for that.
Yeah. There was like one moment where I was like, oh, maybe I do feel sorry for him. Like, but this is Cora. Nope, I don't feel sorry for him.
Yeah. To see Cora actually, shaking in her shoes, regardless of who it is that's making her do it, I'm like, ooh.
It's like, I'm eating like popcorn. Pass, please.
Yeah.
Let me sit right down in my chair and enjoy this.
It's like, what were you? Were you Miller's daughter? Poof! Raggedy clothes, wheelbarrow full of grain. I'm like, where's your Austin, your opulent clothing and your jewels now, Cora?
Yep. And that makes it so much, because we've seen her her how much she just worked to get out of that, and now she's dead, and this is what she gets to spend eternity doing, and I'm just like, I don't feel sorry at all.
Nope, I don't either.
You threatened Henry Sr. That just was not acceptable.
Yeah. Cora's just she's a piece of work.
Yeah. Yep. And not a very nice piece of work.
Yeah. Oh. I've been very open about my dislike for Cora, so.
Oh, I'm right with you there, sister.
Yep.
So. Any hoozles. So. I mean, it was kind. I don't know. As far as episodes go, it was like, yeah, okay, good. We're establishing, this story arc. We're in the Underworld. People here have unfinished business. Hades is here. There's going to be all these people that have died that are existing here that could cause problems. Okay, we got that. But at the same time, in the back of my head, I'm like, this is the 100th episode. It just seems like it should have been more.
Yeah, that
100th episode!
Because they were all like saying, oh, we're bringing out this character and this character and this character, and it's going to be just a big old party. It was a good episode, but it's like, I feel like the 100th episode should be a little more.
Should be like bombshells or, jaw-dropping moments or something.
The finale of the last story arc actually felt more like it should have been the 100th episode, like it should have been the big celebration. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I thought the story was a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I love the show. Don't get me wrong, but I love it enough to point out when it has flaws. And I said I did like this episode. I did not expect to like it as much as I did. But, there are some things they could have done better.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Corolla's...
Yeah, we saw her car, but we didn't see her.
Around. Biting tongue and lip once again.
Yeah.
So who else do you think could be down here that could cause some problems? We know James is there.
Oh gosh, let's start a list.
We got Cole. We got Pan.
Yes.
Well, I heard a rumor, or maybe I imagined a rumor. Is Mila around? Or is she going to be around this season?
I don't know. I think I remember reading that rumor along back too. That could be possible.
I don't know. I haven't seen anything recently. Of course, I haven't really been looking up spoiler stuff because I haven't had time.
Either.
Now I'm going through and trying to think who all
is dead.
Yeah, who all is dead.
Like,
stayed dead.
Yeah, it's like you have to be dead and stay dead. Who qualifies?
Well, Graham, but I don't think Jamie Dornan's coming back.
Yeah.
He's too busy playing Bucky.
Yeah.
No. He's doing 50 Shades of Grey.
That's right. But he was the Mad Hatter. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Jefferson. Well, I don't think Jefferson died though. Mad Hatter. I don't think he died.
No.
I would love to see him back.
I would too.
But no. Graham would be interesting in that book. I don't think there would be like a fight for Emma's affections.
No.
It better not be. But it just would be like it would be interesting.
It would be like, you know, if you'd broken up with someone and you didn't keep in touch, and then like 6 months later you're out with your new significant other at the mall or something, and you run into him like, oh, awkward.
Well, I think it would be more like, oh, you know, I'm glad you're happy and you found someone.
Yeah, but there's a tinge of awkwardness.
Well, yeah, that's true. Although, I do know they're bringing Liam back. Hook's brother. What's the actor's name? Dang it, now I can't. Bernard Curry, that's his name.
Okay.
Yeah, Liam Jones. He's going to be in an episode.
Interesting.
I don't know, in flashback or, well, probably given the subject matter, I'm sure it's going to be.
Is he dead?
He's in the Underworld.
Okay.
And I don't know what to make of Neil's warning to Emma about going back and that. So this is like,
So
you know, he said he was in a good spot, you know, but this whole thing, you need to get out. I'm just wondering,
Yeah. It's like, if you're in the good place,
right.
how do you know?
Right, and you know, I know he still has feelings for her, but wouldn't that be unfinished business for him? You know, sure, he's dead and gone and happy, but
well, no,
got a kid with her, still has feelings for her, wants to see her safe, and knowing that everybody else is.
If his unfinished business is knowing that Emma is safe, he's never getting out of the Underworld.
Right. But then he leaves, so it's just like,
Yeah.
Well, when he was talking to her to deliver the warning, he said he didn't have unfinished business.
Yeah, he's not in the Underworld. He was he was just communicating her via a dream before she actually got to the Underworld. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought that was, you know, interesting. I'm like, okay, you see you don't have unfinished business, but kind of sounds like a little bit to me, but unless it's just Emma kind of working her way through things too on the dream state, so.
Maybe. But it's pretty obvious that the power works differently in that realm, so.
Oh, and I felt sorry for Henry, too, with him trying to track down Neil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just to say goodbye to him. It's just like, oh, man, another missed opportunity.
Yeah, give the kid a break. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, he got to meet his grandpa and say goodbye, hello, and then goodbye, but he never knew his grandpa, really. Just heard about him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nah.
Oh, well. It's going to be a ride.
Yes, that is
We
true.
know that for sure. That's the way it is with every season. It's like, yeah, we're in for a ride, aren't we?
Yep.
I'm hoping a little bit better of a ride than the Neverland portion. I mean, there was some good stuff, but yeah.
I'll get around to watching that storyline eventually. I'm not in a huge hurry.
No.
It's like, that's when I'm bored and really have nothing else to watch, I think. I'll get back around to it.
Yeah.
Just because, the completionist in me is like, well, I got...
But it doesn't have to happen today,
No.
does it?
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Anything else?
I think we covered it pretty well. I mean, it was just one episode, and so it's kind of like anything we talk about now is just speculation, and
Yeah.
we're going to find out what happens in the coming weeks anyway. So
Yeah.
anyway, but if you dear listeners want to join in our discussion of Once Upon a Time or anything else that we've discussed, or talk about conventions or Doctor Who or Civil War or squee about Underoos with us, you can contact us. You can email us. Our email address is fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also go to our website at the5ishfangirls.blogspot.com, and we have all of links to all of our social media pages there: Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, Instagram, YouTube, and iTunes. Did I miss one? I feel like I missed one.
Well,
But anyway,
good
you'll find
riddance.
all our links there, and you can leave us a comment. And also, if you support us on Patreon, we thank you for that. That helps us continue to keep our podcast squee going, and we appreciate that. And if you would want to become a Patreon subscriber, you can do that at our website as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you all are great. We love all our listeners and everyone who comments and likes our Facebook page. I've noticed an uptick in activity on our Facebook page, which is kind of exciting and very, very fun, because I'm like, yay, there's more people coming to the podcast. I love you all. Wish I could give you a hug.
Yeah. Virtual
Or a
hug.
handshake or a high five. Yeah, whatever it is you like. Consider yourself hugged or high-fived or
Fist bumped.
handshake. I don't know.
Yep.
People like different things.
So, yeah, I know I passed out a few of our business cards at the convention. So if anyone, took our card and is actually listening because you took our card from me, hi.
Yay, hi. And I was doing some emailing while we were recording, and I will be, because I wasn't sure if I was going to be there all 3 full days of Salt Lake Comic Con of FanX. It's coming up a week from Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But I actually will be there all 3 days, the whole time. And so if you're going to FanX and you see me, say hi or whatever. I'm going to be dressed as the Fifth Doctor one day and as Emma Swan another day with my husband. We're doing the Fifth Doctor and the Master, and we're doing Emma and Captain Hook.
Nice.
I don't know what we're going to do the third day. I think we're just going to go normal.
Fixing
Doing our,
Civvies.
Huh? Yeah, we're going to do civvies. Ooh, that's when we should wear our T-shirts. Did I tell you about our T-shirts that we got at Disneyland?
Yeah, the I love you, I know.
Yeah. Because we still haven't. We wore them yesterday because we had a little family thing. And we were going to take pictures of ourselves with them with our lightsabers, but we forgot. So I think we might just do that at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I just had that brainwave just now.
I like it.
And Jared just kind of says, "Okay." He was in the room getting licorice or something. So yay! I just figured out what we're going to do the third day.
Woohoo!
So. Anyway, the point of that was anyone out there that's listening, and if you're going to FanX in Salt Lake City, I'll be there. So look for me and come say hi, and I'll try to have business cards. I think I have a few somewhere stashed away. I'm not sure. I don't know. I may have Rachel FedEx me some or something. If she has any.
Oh, I have some. I have
Okay.
a lot. So,
Not to put you on the spot when we're recording.
Yeah. I'll see what I can do.
I have way too many of the ones I originally printed, like, last year.
Yeah, I'm glad our info hasn't changed any. Otherwise, I'd be like, yeah, this was a waste. But
Well, yeah, maybe I'll give you my mailing address off air and have you send me some.
Okay.
Now that I think about it, I don't know where they are, if I still have any. And if you've got some and I need some, I might as well use what you've got.
All right. Well, we'll discuss that off air.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, in the end, I'll be at Fennets. That was the point of that.
Yes. So, if you're not sure which one's Chrissy, if you see a femme Fifth Doctor with river song hair, hysterical near Peter Davison's table, that would be Chrissy.
Please bring me a drink and a fan afterward or something, and remind me what my name is afterward, because that's after I met Paul McGann and Colin Baker. It took me a little while. Luckily, I made it away from their table before I really went all freak out.
Oh, at least you got away from the table.
Yeah, with Peter Davison, I cannot guarantee that's going to be the case.
Well, Chrissy still knows her
It's a good
name.
thing this time I'll have a handler. It's a good thing I'll have a handler with me.
Yeah. Well, Chrissy still knows her name. Let's sign off.
Let's do.
Before she forgets.
Yes. This is Brittany and Bonus saying goodnight.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City saying goodnight.
See, she's forgotten already.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
Saying goodnight from Kitchener, Ontario.
Oh, this is Rachel, Indianapolis, Indiana. I wonder how much I could have got for Colin Baker's fingernail clippings on eBay if I had taken them.
You should have done it.
No, I would have kept him and I would have cloned him.
Just a bit.
Yes. Been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Any and all movies, books, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by their respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied.